Hello, everyone, and welcome to Telling Tales. Here we tell atmospheric stories together through the medium of tabletop role-playing games. It's Monday night, which means we're playing Vaesen, Mythic Britain, and Ireland. A lovely game that we're having lots of fun with. And other things that we do on the channel, on a Wednesday night, we have a Simba room. And one weekend day a month, we have a different one-shot adventure, different games run by different GMs with different players. This month is this coming Sunday. And our very own Sam is going to be running that, and it's going to be a Call of Cthulhu game, which I'm playing and very much looking forward to. So join us at 3 p.m. GMT. Your friendly neighborhood search engine can convert that to you wherever you reside. Below the stream, we have links to our social media accounts, our Discord, which you should join and come and chat with us and the other lovely people who watch and are involved in the channel. Our YouTube if you're watching on Twitch, or Twitch if you're watching YouTube, and also our Patreon, where you can support us if you enjoy what we do on the channel. So let's recap last week's game. First, we'll bring on Inga, who plays Constance. Hey, Inga.
Hiya.
So the previous session had ended with the apparent appearance of Gladys Pugh at the door of Lady Spence's home. And this is somebody that you have been sort of looking for throughout your visit here.
Yes, it was quite the cliffhanger. But yeah, so she came along and initially met with Lady Spence, who welcomed her in, and we kind of all heard the full story. And basically, she'd come up from London about a week ago to speak with Lady Spence, who she'd heard about because she's encountered something sort of spooky and supernatural, and kind of knew of Lady Spence's reputation. And basically, she kind of explained to us that she'd become romantically involved with a woman called Rachel Brown, who gave her a gift, which was like this little small box. But the thing itself is kind of the weird supernatural thing, and she can't get rid of it or destroy it. And it has some like positives. It seems to make her kind of lucky. There are like happy coincidences and things, but it's very unnerving because she's been like sleepwalking and having these kind of blackouts. She doesn't feel super in control. She's been getting these weird visions of hell. And actually, inside this nice little box is a scary little shiny black bug thing with a humanoid face, and it can talk to her, which is obviously incredibly suspect and creepy. And her like blackouts and stuff are becoming a bit more frequent, so she's feeling quite unsettled by everything that's been going on. And she's tried like throwing it in the Thames and throwing it into a fire and tried burying it, but it always just seems to reappear, come back to her within a few hours. So yeah, this thing is pretty creepy, and Constance is pretty sure that this thing just needs to be smited, and gives that a go to no success at all. And Mosling kind of suggests that maybe Gladys should give him the box, because it seems like it can be willingly like given away but can't be kind of got rid of otherwise. But then we do a bit of research which maybe suggests we don't want to do that, which I think takes us into the next bit of the recap.
Yep, thank you. So let's bring on Steve, who plays Henry Bonneville. Hi, Steve.
Hello.
Henry had a bit of a... I think you used your sixth sense ability, didn't you?
I did, yes.
When investigating the box, and I used that to provide you a bit of info based on you having remembered something that you'd glanced over in a book when researching previously. So do you want to tell us about that?
Yes. So the information in the book tied in with some of the information that Gladys had given to us. Essentially, this thing is called a spiritus, and it can be given, I guess, twice. So the first person can gift it to a second person, and they, I guess, at that point are no longer involved with it. The second person can do the same to the third person, but the third person, that's where things go awry. The third person is stuck with it, and probably befalls some horrid fate. Generally, it seems. So persons 1 and 2, they seem to get sort of beneficial effects, as Inga, I think, mentioned. The third person not so much. It seems that the Spiritus at that point can maybe take them over completely. So yes, that's not great news. There was a scrap of paper in the book that suggested maybe that at least one person had found a way of surviving or getting out of this, and that person is called Sister Violet Griffiths. So Henry dropped a telegram back to base and asked whether they had any more information on that person. Yeah, and of course, yes. Whereas the rest of the book held all sorts of details on how to deal with other Vaesen, nothing helpful on how to banish these Spiritus things. So that's great.
Yep, thank you. Similarly, let's bring on Justin, who plays Gale, Mosling Forcemark. Hi, Justin. Gale also did a little research at a similar time into pixies.
Indeed. I love the way you talk about doing a little research in the same way that, someone would do research on the COVID vaccine from the comfort of their own
Yes,
toilet.
yeah.
Yeah,
A
Mosling
little
did some
light
research.
reading.
Exactly, yeah. Mosling did some research, and we found out all together as a group that pixies are generally, we know they're mischievous already, but they are maybe put off by you maybe already looking the fool, perhaps turning your coat inside out and various other silly things like whistling, classic silly jape, or crosses made of hazel or willow, wicker. I think that was one of the things that could throw them off. But also that if you stole something from a pixie, you could trade it back to them. And we thought maybe we have one of their hats. Maybe that counts. Maybe we can trade that back to them. Who knows? And that's kind of where we left off on our research about pixies, ready to head back maybe into town.
Yes, thank you. Let's bring on Sam, who plays Magnus Huxley. Hey, Sam.
Hello.
So, just before leaving, Hux decided to have a little chat.
Yeah, while all these bookworms are doing their reading and those who know their letters were using them, I decided I'd have a little conversation with this Spiritus because, well, it seemed to be able to talk, and I was curious if it would talk to me. So I kind of eyed it for a while. I had also found out that the box had kind of fixed itself when I'd glanced away for a brief moment. So I kind of, answered that question of how it does the thing, or that it does a thing to itself, which didn't really surprise me. I guess it was kind of as expected. Yeah, and then I kind of just grabbed the box, let Gladys know that I was going to talk to the thing, and everyone else eyed me as I opened it and basically asked the Spiritus how to get rid of it. And unsurprisingly, the Spiritus wasn't particularly helpful, and basically just said, "Oh, well, you can get rid of it if she gives it to you, gives it to me." So I didn't really fancy that too much. The conversation didn't really go anywhere else, so I shut the box. Found out that only myself, the fact I heard the voice quite loudly, I found out that only myself and Gladys could hear it talking, so no one else did, even though they were close by, which was interesting. Yeah. Then I did a little failed experiment trying to see who could see the box and who couldn't. I also tried that again when we were at the pub, and it still didn't work. So let's just gloss over that. And then we all decided to head into town to the pub to see, maybe because what was the reasoning to go and see Lucy Jenkins? I can't remember what it was now that sent us there, but there was some reason we wanted to go see her. Oh, the medallion. That's right. We were going to track down this medallion because we thought that maybe some trick had been played upon her. Relating to the pixies, so that was kind of our lead into town there. And on the way, I think Inga, Constance also made up some wicker crosses, I believe.
Yeah. Cool. Let's bring John on, who plays B. So B and Hux had a bit of a conversation with Lucy Jenkins in the pub.
Yeah. Basically, we sat down with her, and Hux said, we think we know who stole your medallion, and then she closed her book and shut her metaphorical office door and waited for us to leave because we clearly said something wrong. And B refused. B crossed her arms and planted herself and wouldn't move until Lucy Jenkins said a bit more. And it turned out that she hadn't had her medallion stolen. She had found a medallion, a very, very pretty medallion that she had then tried to sell. And when she had presented it to a buyer, she had instead pulled out a dead rat. And she was quite upset and had taken it quite personally and wanted to know who had done this thing to her, presumably so that they could have a calm and rational conversation about it. Seems likely.
Absolutely. Yeah, and then at the very end, she revealed, which may or may not have any relevance, that the medallion was found just outside the pub moments after Dan, who you've been looking for, seems to have gone missing. So that was how we left it last week. So B is currently still sat across the table from Lucy. Who is back in that position of sort of sitting and waiting for you to leave.
Right. All right. I'll keep my ear out.
No games this time.
Understood. There'll be none from me. I'll give her a nod and walk back over to our table.
Book out on the table.
As you arrive back
And
on the table.
sorry, Sam. Somebody pretty quickly who has been sat, sort of drinking, looking out of the window, gets up and comes and sits opposite her.
As you arrive back on the table, I'll say, B, you do know any explanation we can give her ain't going to satisfy. It was pixies. Yeah, it was pixies. We're going to be mucking her around some more, aren't we?
That's why I didn't say anything. So we could figure that out later.
It was the medallions related to the pixies then.
Oh, yeah. I remember I can't remember if it was Bonneville or Mosling. One of you found the story about a bracelet and rat dung, right?
I think that was Mosling, wasn't it?
Well, it's one of those situations.
Interesting.
So that's potentially 2 tricks played by the pub in this town.
And I heard right that it was just there she found it, right?
Yep. Right after
So they have been in town. There's more tricks played. It's likely that Dan is also a victim of the pixies.
Yeah, I agree now. Weeks though. Well, a week at least, eh? Why could they have put him? What?
It's if the others seem to have others who've gone missing have reappeared sometime later, it doesn't seem like we have any understanding of how to bring them back any sooner or a way of offering them some sort of help. And it's been so long now for poor Dan.
Well, we know where to find them, or at least we can see them at night. I don't know whether we stand any chance of talking to them, but
did any of them books indicate they talk to us?
You can
didn't get
negotiate with them.
You didn't get any specific sort of retellings of any conversations or anything. But yes, sorry, as Constance was about to say.
There was some word about what was it? Offering some sort of magical effect in return for returning an item, or being able to trick them into doing certain things. So it seems like there's some sort of back and forth available, but maybe they don't speak, but maybe they can understand or something. I'm not. Well, I don't think it was terribly clear.
And I must admit, I didn't feel like we were in danger as a group there. I don't know if you agree, Sister Constance, but it seemed like they might mess with us a bit, but I don't think they're going to attack us when we're together like that, right?
Well, they seemed to be afraid of us when they noticed when they disappeared when they noticed us, which I think speaks to the power we hold over them for sure. But ideally we need to get Dan back. The only other thought I have is those bones in the well, and I mean those bones were. I think Lady Spence said they were maybe from over 100 years ago, but maybe there's some sort of time trickery. I don't know, but it's such a tenuous grasping at straws, really.
Maybe we could work out where the medallion was found. Maybe that's where we can find the pixies. Was it just here at the pub?
I think it was just outside. Yes.
I mean, do pixies ever live in pubs? I said, like Mottling says, looking around at the rafters or around pubs.
I'm surprised they've come this close. I don't know whether there are stories of whether there's evidence of them ever getting this close to town before, but
well,
Most
we
people
saw a
can't see
Vaesen in
them.
London.
Yeah, but pixies are more look lights in the distance sort. I thought that's what I thought of anyway.
Well,
and
what?
others can't. But yeah, those who don't have the sight can't see them. And if it's just little things, normally just little things that are going awry, they wouldn't even think of anything supernatural being the cause.
Yeah.
Dan going missing, even then, most people won't be thinking supernatural interference, but obviously we know better.
So they could come in town, but then we got the question of why here? What do they want with this place?
yeah,
Seems like they've come in more than once, maybe.
does something have them riled up? Is disappearing someone for a week seems, significant.
Malice alone might be the purpose here. I don't think we can necessarily assume normal human motive and meaning in these sorts of things. They're instruments of evil. They cause trouble.
I don't think that's the same as chaotic and completely irrational, though. There must be some reason behind specifically here. Doesn't make sense. Something drew them here, or it doesn't really make sense to me that Dan would be a target for some reason. He annoyed them, but something drew them.
Specifically here and specifically now.
I'm more interested in how we can prevent them being here and now than I'm not sure the reasoning will give us the answer as to how to stop them necessarily. Perhaps we ought to go back out to the bit outside the pub where Dan went missing and where this medallion was found. I did put one of the crosses in that little gap. I'm wondering now whether that was perhaps a bad idea, if that's where somehow Dan's gone missing and it's going to prevent him being able to come back, or whether actually that will help undo whatever mischief they've caused.
Let's go take a look. Head outside again. I'm just really curious if there's any evidence of anything around the outside of the pub, particularly where he went missing, that like a small hole in a wall, or like some obvious little trail off in a direction that it looks like small creatures could be running. Like, given we now have decided that they've come to this place specifically, anything like that,
I'm not going to ask you to roll, but there's nothing that you can see that points to anything in particular. You'd looked around here pretty thoroughly beforehand, and you'd ask specific questions about things, and there's not anything. You look around again, as you if you've lost something in your house, you look in the same place 15 times, won't you? You're doing that whole thing, but there's nothing.
Yeah. Assume Magnus is frustratedly looking around, making noises for like 15 minutes or so doing this.
Mm.
I suppose the priorities are finding a way to get Dan returned safely, if possible still, and quashing this little menace. Ideally, we can do one and the same altogether, kill the two birds with one stone. But I am a little worried that if we just somehow get rid of them or drive them out, then we'll just lose Dan forever.
I still reckon whatever the key is, it's to be found here, not out there. There's some reason they came here.
The pub is a centre of activity, and just this is where lots of people are. If they're coming to cause mischief with people, not many better places than the pub.
What's the name of the pub again? I do have it written down somewhere.
It's
The Weaver?
yeah, something like that.
Yes, it is the Weavers. Yeah.
What is the sign of the pub? What is on the hanging sign, Jonny? A fact that you definitely have written down because it'll be the first thing you'll have done in your notes.
Are there pixies?
Is it a giant spider weaving a web? Is it something else?
It's a loom. Somebody on a loom. Not on a loom, but somebody
You're
using
a
a
loom, Jonny.
Don't talk to your games master like that.
I think after my frustrated searching for a while, I'm going to head back into the pub on a kind of whim and see if... Was it... I can't remember the person who ran
Rob? I think
Rob,
Dan
was it
disappeared. Rob,
Rob.
yeah.
Yeah, Rob. I'll just see if Rob's free for a quick chat.
Hello again.
Hey, Rob. Just thinking about where Dan's gone some more still. Haven't really had any luck yet. The night he disappeared, that day or around that time, no one else suddenly arrived that you'd noticed that wasn't around before, or anyone kind of looking a bit funny around here? Anything, just kind of anything odd, I suppose, really. I'm trying to think if there was something particular going on here.
Can you make an inspiration roll, Sam?
Yeah, sure. Well, I have lots of empathy. No inspiration, but lots of empathy. Oh, yes, a 6.
Cool. No, as I said before, I don't think there was anybody strange in town. The strangest person that's been in's that lad who was following you, but that was after. There was... Well, I suppose it was quite late for kids to be playing outside. There was a bit of a sound like kids playing, I think, but didn't see none. Just heard some noise, so assumed they must have either been chased off by somebody else or realized they should have been making their way home.
Yeah, probably just some trick or something. What sort of time?
Oh, it'd have been whenever Dan left. What was that? 10?
Very late for them kids.
Aye.
Never hear kids at that time normally then.
No. They're well, all quite responsible parents here for the most part. So kids are usually locked in.
You remember that any other night at all?
No.
Well, don't know if it helps, but it's something, I suppose. Cheers anyway.
Yeah, no problem.
Anyone else could have been there and heard that, but I'll kind of relay that, there were definitely there. The pixies definitely took Dan at that specific time, and it was only that night, apparently, that he remembers hearing their voices. Whatever it was, they came here just one night.
Jonny, did we, in terms of the research we've done, did we feel like, or do we have a sense of whether we've pretty much exhausted our available resources on pixies? Or is there much point in, or do we feel like there's much point in trying to hit the books again?
You think you've probably been through certainly the ones that you've been provided by Lady Spence that she thinks are, the the top tier ones for you to be
Yeah.
looking at. You've gone through. I
Yeah.
think you've also been through what Mosling brought. And Lady Spence and Gladys are kind of having a quiet conversation as you're going through that. And Lady Spence says, well, perhaps this is the first time that they've been here, but maybe the reason they haven't been back is because they still have their entertainment. Perhaps this speaks well for Dan.
Kind of a grim thought.
Maybe this historical society might know something about the mythology of pixies in the area. Maybe there have been some local rumors about them over the years that they will know something about.
Was it tonight they were meeting?
It's tonight, yeah.
Might as well try.
It's local folklore.
The policeman's also in town today, somewhere, and if they're only in town for one day, it might be worth chatting, telling them about this skeleton down the well, and maybe
they might
asking.
They might know more about Dan. They must have at least looked for him a bit, you'd think.
That might lead to some more good questions about why we're asking about him.
Might just be glad to hear someone's on the case. You don't have to worry about it.
Jonny, can you remind me when we did the research from the Pixies before, the people who did reappear, like they felt like, it was an hour's walk and it just felt like an hour to them, but then it was like a whole day had passed or something like that. We didn't see any accounts of people sort of having lost memory, like knowingly lost memory, or said that they sort of ended up somewhere funny along the way. It was just like they'd had a normal walk, but somehow loads of time had passed.
Seemed to be, yeah. There were some. There were also things where people had said that they sort of felt like they'd lost their way, as in got lost, and they were aware of that entire thing. And it may be that it was somewhere that they thought they should have known how to navigate that. So those are sort of two separate types of account, which you saw and aren't always necessary. They weren't necessarily linked to being pixies, but they could have been from what you'd read through.
And in terms of the surrounding area, obviously this is not too large a town, but is it one of those things where, if you kind of went wandering off on the moors, you could wander around for days potentially and, be lost in before kind of really getting turned around? Yeah, without. Yeah. Okay. Well, perhaps we ought to ask what sort of proper search has been done and whether the moors have really been thoroughly searched in case the pixies have somehow managed to get Dan turned around and wandering about the moors rather than going straight home as he normally would. It's the sort of thing that's maybe quite difficult for us to be able to do, and especially so late in the day now. But if there were any efforts made earlier, sooner when he went missing, and if not, that at least tells us that we can't rule that out as an option. It's just given the accounts, it doesn't seem like they've been transported. So that red cap just sort of appeared and disappeared out of places. It doesn't sound like that with the pixies. It sounds like they've just gone on a normal sort of walk. They haven't been, magicked away somewhere like the people the red cap killed.
It's true, but I'm not sure how much. Well, either way, I don't think whatever searches they did originally would have found him, even if he wasn't literally magicked away, given with these pixies, as far as we know.
No, of course. I mean, they clearly didn't find him, but if they didn't do a proper sort of search along the moors, then if they felt like they'd done a very thorough job, then that would have normally caught somebody who'd gone a normal sort of distance that would have been covered, it would maybe rule it out. But if they can't even rule that out properly for us, which it does, I don't think they sounded like they did, but we can certainly confirm it with the constabulary.
Who wants to go chat with them then? They'll be there. That policeman will be here now, right?
I'd be happy to talk to them.
Mr. Bonneville, you presumably have had some dealings with the police in your line of work.
Yes, I can. They might, I guess. Yes, think my presence there is more natural than. It's worth a try. Yeah.
Sorry, again, Jonny, a reminder, was the police and the historical society about the same time, like different places around the same time, or was it just they're both today but at different times?
So the constable is around through the day, and the historical society meeting is sort of tea time in the pub, and the constable is having his surgery in the church.
So there's no reason we can't all go.
Just seems a bit much, or all descending in a way.
It might be worth looking around now that we know some of the methods you can use to try and ward away these pixies. It might be worth just seeing whether anywhere around town is has those already. I can't understand why they've suddenly targeted the pub. But
I see what you mean. If they've been here a while, people might know about them. Old.
It seemed as though there was a lot of suspicion about these sorts of things. I'm really not so sure it's such a targeted thing, but again, it's certainly worth ruling out if anybody has been particularly protecting themselves with this sort of thing. But I thought also perhaps if we are for the weekend, I might offer to speak with the father at the church, and if there's some sort of Sunday school, perhaps we could do a little wicker crucifix making session with the children or something, and you can show them the willow and the hazel trees, and I can show them how to make the little crucifix, and then there's also a little bit of boosted protection around town, and I think the children might be a little more receptive to it than let's talk about pixies as part of the sermon or something. And I think the father would maybe quite enjoy having a bit of engagement with an activity like that.
Jonny, remind me, is it a Thursday at the moment? Have I made that?
Yes.
Up?
Yeah.
Cool.
That's correct.
It does sound useful. I'm never expected to be leading a Sunday school, but I'd be open to it.
Assisting.
Don't smile like that. You're not converting me, sister.
Hux is
I wouldn't dream of it.
Cool. Okay, well, I like the idea of having a wander around town and see if I can find anything else. You can deal with the Bobby. I don't fancy that. I don't mind. You want to go church then, eh? I'll smile at B again.
Yeah, all right. I'll go to the church. Might as well show my face to the vicar. You take Adam. He's good at spotting things.
Sure,
Game,
will do.
Right?
But I'll spot more of these crosses than you around town, eh? I'm dashing out the door straight away.
Okay. So everybody's going to the church apart from Hux. Is that right?
Yeah.
I think so.
Cool. Sam, can you make a vigilance roll for Hux? And we'll come back to that.
Sure, we'll do.
So yes, the four of you arrive at the church, and the Reverend is at the door. And you see as you're kind of heading up to it, sort of probably 50 meters away, you see somebody going ahead of you, who he sort of shakes the hand of, and you hear his lovely, warm, welcoming voice, welcoming them in. And as you head closer, he sees you and smiles. And he says, lovely to see you again. Please, are you here for a little quiet contemplation again, sister?
Yes, absolutely. But I also wanted to speak with you again, and I inquire as to whether you had some sort of Sunday school or a similar sort of arrangement here in town.
Oh, yes. My I like to keep my sermons interesting, but I think for the small ones, it's still perhaps a little on the dry side. So yes, we do. Yes.
Well, I was wondering if you wouldn't mind, of course, whether there's perhaps a little fun activity we could do with the children on Sunday this weekend. We heard about a charming little local sort of superstition that actually I thought was rather lovely as an form of engagement for children with the church. And I'll pull out one of the little crucifixes that we made, and say, apparently there's these very good warding off spirits, but it made of willow and haze. And I thought perhaps B. Oh, sorry, you've not met B. I think B is one of my companions. She's been traveling with us, and she's very good about nature and things, and showed us the proper I think is it hazel and willow
That's
tree.
the ones.
Yes, and she's sort of showing us where these sorts of trees are and what are the right sort of branches and things, and then how to make these. And I thought it might be a fun activity for the children.
Right. Yes. Well, I wouldn't have expected you to bring me something based on a superstition, Sister Constance, but certainly it seems like, yes, as you say, good at warding off spirits. And if there's any symbol that I truly believe can do that, then it is this one. So, yes, I shall set about gathering the appropriate materials for Sunday. Yes. Excellent
I mean, I
idea.
think and we'd be happy to certainly lend us some assistance, and you help. I mean, even the children might find it fun to go, to come out and enjoy some of that. And as for the sort of superstitions and things, I think actually it can do quite a lot of good to remind people that no matter where these fears and things can come from, that really comfort can be found in the faith and the church, and that's really the true heart of things. I think sometimes it's best not to shy away from that. It can really kind of help people find the right light in the church.
Quite right. Is Adam with you? Do you think?
No, he went off with Hux.
Okay. Yes. Well, please don't let me keep you any longer. The constable is in, so it's not quite as quiet as it might otherwise be. But please.
Yes, I think some of my other companions did want to speak with him, but if I will take a moment for some quiet solitude if that's all right as well. I will
Of
go off
course.
and have a little pray and light some candles and things, and leave the rest of them to it.
Cool. So the as you walk in, you see the constable is kind of just sitting in the front pew, and you can see that he's got a pad that he's writing on as he's having a discussion with somebody. And it looks like there's one other person probably in the queue ahead of you, you would guess, from where they're sitting on kind of the pew next to them. Do you want to do anything else while you're waiting for that sort of 5 minutes or so?
I mean,
go ahead.
I'd be quite keen to, as long as it was inconspicuous, if I can sort of catch a hint of the what's being discussed, I might be, I like a little, try to overhear that, but not in a way that would, I'm not going to be leaning around.
Okay. give me a vigilance roll, because it
Sure.
is obviously, you know, an echoey church, so there's a reasonable chance that you can quite discreetly pick something up.
Okay, that's going to be 5 plus 2 dice. Nothing.
Okay. No, it's too echoey, in fact. And any time that you do think you pick something up, it almost gets cut off by another bit of something being said kind of over the top of it. And you can never quite get that clarity. But yes, eventually that person leaves and the person after them leaves, and you are the only people now in the church, with the Reverend stood at the door and the Constable. He sort of sits looking forward. You would presume that potentially part of the deal is that he doesn't sort of bother anyone. So you think you would have to approach him rather than him sort of getting your attention.
Well, yeah, I'll be happy to head over once he's looking like he's free.
Hello.
Hello. My name's Henry Bonneville. If you've got a moment of time, I'd quite like to talk to you about a couple of matters. I'm not a local resident, but
Yeah, of course, Mr. Bonneville. Yeah, please take a seat. Is anybody else with Henry, or are you all kind of standing back to you? Yeah.
Moslin will be floating.
Okay.
Nearby.
Be all shuffle along behind.
I'm like leering over Bonneville behind, like the backup.
He kind of nods to acknowledge you all, but gives most of his attention to Henry as the one speaking.
So really, I guess the first matter is I'm a private investigator by trade. I was led to understand that that a person had gone missing recently. Dan, I'm trying to whilst I'm here, sort of help out if I can, but I just wonder what's been done. Do you know what area has been searched for Dan?
Yes, it seems a shame about the lad, but you know, drunk man gets lost on the way home, doesn't show up, isn't exactly a strange story. So we had a bit of a look around for him in the neighbouring area. Couldn't find him. I'm told that the locals are still keeping an eye out for him, but we asked around. There was no ill feelings towards him as far as we could see, no motive for anything. So I suppose either he'll show up or he won't.
Well, I hope it's the former. So, from your point of view, there are no more leads. There are no active.
No sign of foul play, unless anybody comes to us with any more, new information. As I say, unfortunately, we can't really scout the whole moor for somebody who may have taken themselves off, fallen down a hole, might never be found.
I can understand you're I guess that there's not much capacity for that sort of thing around here, I guess. Is it an unusual occurrence? Do you have much cause to?
I mean, somebody going missing and there being no sign of any, negative intent towards them, I suppose, is reasonably rare. But as I say, the man's a known drunk. He's got lost on the way home after a night in the pub, and I'm not a cynical man, Mr. Bonneville, but it seems relatively clear cut to me what's happened here, and I don't see any reason to believe that there's any foul play.
Of course. This place is quiet otherwise then? You don't have much cause to... it doesn't cause much trouble for you, does it?
Very little. I only come once a week at the most. And it's normally trivial complaints about, neighbor building himself a table too early in the morning, or, this person's moved their fence post 3 millimeters further into my garden, that kind of, yeah.
Of course. Forgive me, the name Lucy Jenkins, have you had any accounts, any business with her?
Not as such, but I'm aware of Miss Jenkins.
Do you think she's a positive force in the town?
As far as I'm aware, Mr. Bonneville, she provides a service that people request. No laws are broken. That's as far as my remit covers.
Fair enough. Well, the other matter I wish to discuss is perhaps easier, rather more historic as well. Are you aware of the well near the road that runs to the to Lady Spence's mansion?
Ah, the Witch's Well.
Oh, I wasn't aware it had a name. Yes, we discovered there are some bones in the bottom of it.
Yes, the most reported crime in our constabulary, Mr. Bonneville. Nothing to concern yourself with.
I was just intrigued as to why the bones hadn't been removed. Is there a reason for that, or?
It's a reasonably long way down. There's no confirmation that the structure is sound. There is a plan to cover the well, actually, to prevent further reports.
That seems wise. Yes.
But yes, as I say, nothing to concern yourself with.
Well, I think that's probably all I had to ask. Moslem, do you have anything to add?
No, I think that covers our concerns.
I've got a question. These neighborly disputes, are any of them do any of them seem unresolved? Like, I don't know, Mr. Smith says his garden statue's gone missing and Mr. Jones says he's never seen it. Or someone is playing tricks on us, or anything that seems more mischievous than the usual.
We have some reason to believe that maybe some pranksters might have been involved with some of these issues with Dan. Maybe something like that, something that seems like it could be a prankster at work, or might be something to do with it.
Somebody actually did report sounds from the old mill. Thought they'd maybe seen lights in there on a night, but in fact, that is on my list of things to check while I'm here. Other than that, no, don't think so. As I say, it's mostly yes, your description of one saying something and another not agreeing. if that does happen, it's very clear that one side is telling the truth and the other is not. Sometimes it's the one making the complaint, and sometimes it's the one on the receiving end. Yes, unfortunately, some people can be rather petty about these things, but no, I've no reason to think there's any link to anything to do with Mr. Penhaligon.
You can probably save yourself doing that check at the mill. Last few nights, we thought maybe Dan might be out there, so we've been out there with some lights to see if maybe he had visited. So it probably was us that they were seeing.
Oh, very good. Crosses it off his list.
Well, if that's all, then I guess. Well, yes. I hope you have a quiet afternoon with no further troubles.
Thank you, Mr. Bonneville. And forgive me, I don't mean to be come across uncaring about Dan. It's just sometimes these things happen, and there's not anything that anybody can do about them. I do hope that he shows up.
So do I. And I guess I'll stand up to depart.
Just one more thing. Have we heard that he's not part of the Historical Society? Did I ask that of someone?
Dan?
No, the policeman. He's not in town because he's an attendee of the Historical Society.
I don't think that you have confirmation either way.
No, he's a member of the secret cult.
Exactly. I'm just putting it out there. You guys don't think about this. But I will ask him if he has heard of the Historical Society in town, like as I'm leaving, because I'm going to think of going tonight. Have you ever been?
I have not been. I'm aware of a few members. They there is a higher than representative proportion of complaints that come from that group.
As in that they get complained about, or that they complain a lot?
I believe that you will find that many of them no longer work, and thus have some time on their hands.
Right. My. So they make the complaints because they have all this time on their hands. Well,
I don't wish to cast aspersions, but almost certainly yes.
Personally, I've never thought this idea of pensions were a good idea at all. We should have them working until they're dead. Or live off their family wealth, one of the two. It was nice. Perhaps we'll see you in the pub later.
Yes, it's possible. Although, hang on, no, they meet there. Don't no. I'll be heading home.
Of course.
I love that policeman. It was amazing.
That's too real, Jonny.
Too real. If you're wondering on my search, Jonny, I got 1 6 along with Adam. Adam totally rolled loads more 6s, I'm sure. And yeah,
Gladys has also gone with you.
Oh, cool. Who can also roll some 6s, please? Yeah, I'm just looking for any sign of any of the things that were described to ward off pixies. I'm having a general tour. I'm not looking particularly in all the windows or anything, just seeing if I see any sign of anyone else trying to do anything mystical.
Okay. You see some crosses above people's doors, but that's neither here nor there, really. They're not made of wicker and hazel. You do note as you're wandering around that Gladys has turned her coat inside out. One is enough for her, you think, probably.
I glanced down thinking I should do the same and then realize I'm already wearing my coat inside out and have never noticed.
But no, you don't see that anybody else has sort of, there's no sign that if you're looking for somebody in this village who has, insight into this stuff, there's nothing to point out that
Yeah,
that is.
it was kind
that
of
is-
that, or whether there's a tradition in this village, kind of people just doing this sort of thing because of folk stories or something. But if I don't get
Right.
any indication that that's the case, then it kind of implies more to me that maybe the pixies are a newer phenomena or something's changed. That's kind of what I was trying to gauge as well.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. I'll probably head back to the pub, assuming other folks will gather there eventually.
Yeah, cool. You all convene at a reasonably similar time. You sort of early afternoon at this point. You reckon you've got 2 or 3 hours until the group may be meeting. Lucy Jenkins has gone now. When you come back,
Tell you what, could I have one little conversation with Gladys before I get back? Actually,
yeah, of course.
Since you came with me, I just realised I had a. Although I guess Adam's with me, so no, I probably won't because I won't want to have Adam move away from us. But I also don't want to have this conversation with Adam there, so I'll save it for another time.
Okay.
As we're walking back, before we get back to the pub, I mentioned I'll just keep an eye out for when the others finish up and then kind of come back and join them to walk back to the pub. But might just kind of ask a little bit about I would quite like to check in on poor Dan's wife, but I'm not sure we can tell her that we think pixies have sent Dan astray either. I'm not quite sure what. Ideally, we'd come back to her with Dan, safe and sound, but I don't want to just leave her lingering either.
If it were me and I was waiting for news, I would be disappointed if some people came without anything.
What we need is one member of the group to be incredibly foolish looking, and then they could go and talk to people and say pixies are the answer, and the rest. And if we get an incredulous response, the rest of the group could go, "Oh, that's just don't worry about that one." But if they latch onto it, then we know we're in for a winner. Unfortunately, all the people in our group are very serious.
I'm already glaring at you before you even look at me.
Dan's wife is a believer, isn't she?
She is, yes. Not many believe in real dark forces influencing the world, though. That for many, it's a source of comfort, and the real fears are of things in the afterlife. Not many realize how much dark supernatural forces can affect this world as well, which is understandable, of course, when most people can't see them. But yes, I think it might make her more inclined not to believe in pixies.
Oh, either way, she might still appreciate one of these. I'll hold up one of the crucifixes.
That's true.
Didn't see anything around town, by the way, of the like, or anything else that might ward off pixies around here. Seems a little bit odd if they've been here forever on the moors. You'd think there would have been at least some folk tales that have been passed down that would have suggested to do this sort of thing. These stories hang about, don't they, even if people don't fully understand them, but didn't see anything like it. Makes me think they're newer or they've changed or something, but I suppose it's no certainty.
Well, perhaps the Historical Society will. Perhaps you can coax a tale or two out of them, but
yeah, I kind of want to attend, but I don't know if they'll be very happy to have me there without all my book smarts.
It's worth noting as well that the pretty much all of the protections were personal protections, so you wouldn't necessarily see anything anyway. That doesn't mean that there isn't,
Yeah. It's safe to assume that I didn't notice anyone wearing a coat inside out while I was wandering around and things like that as well. So
Someone whistling loudly.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that might have been the case, I suppose, but a conspicuous amount of whistling. Yeah, you're right. Not too helpful.
Yes, I suppose it's worth a shot. I suppose, Mosling, you and I did go before. Perhaps we could pay another little visit, and we can try out your little ploy, and I can always jump in with you know, dark forces in the world and faith and such. But
I would be happy to swing by before. I've got to kill some time before we have this historical society meeting.
yes. Well, I suppose we're nearby, aren't we? Does anybody else, I suppose, is welcome to join. I think she does know that we're traveling with people, but otherwise, I suppose we could meet you at the pub.
Magnus has already settled into a pint.
Right, let's go. And they're off.
Okay. Yeah. Do you just wander up and knock on the door?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Moment passes and the door opens. Hello again, sister.
Hello. I hope you don't mind us popping in again. Just wanted to check in on how you were. And
No, please come in. I've just put a pot of tea on.
Does she seem much the same as she was last time we saw her in attitude?
Yeah, probably slightly less newly upset.
Yeah,
she's still quiet and sort of obviously is upset, but less sort of there's no tear streaks. It's just sort of a low feeling, you think. She pause teas.
Yeah.
I assume no word, as you would have said straight away, I suppose. Just a courtesy visit.
Yeah, I think we'd ask a bit about, do a bit of the general chit chat type stuff, small talk. I don't want to be rude.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that the others kind of caught me up on what the constable had said as well. Maybe just kind of explained we'd spoken to the constable, and maybe they were a little disappointed in the low efforts to really investigate.
I think I'd try and move the conversation generally about saying how much ground we'd covered around the moors and the mill and all the other kinds of buildings, and end on this discussing the white stone circle. There's a circle, isn't it? And ask
circles,
circles, and ask whether she knew much about that. I'm trying to get onto the I'd probably try and work onto the conversation of superstition and whether or not they held up with any of that stuff.
Well, I think that they're old, and I think that they were, well, I think a bit godless, really, a bit pagan, maybe.
I see.
Yes, certainly not. No, not of interest to me, I'm afraid.
I see. Well, and Dan was never one for that kind of thing?
No. I mean, maybe from a sort of historical interest point of view, I suppose, but certainly not in a religious way.
No. Did he ever go to the historical meeting, the historical society meetings?
Not for some time due to his condition, but yes, in the past he had.
In the past, that's interesting. I'm going to be going tonight, and I suppose I could see what they think.
Yes, of course, yes. Yes, a nice group, I think, mostly older, but yes, nice enough.
I might actually pull out one of the little wicker crucifixes at this point and say, I appreciate this is just a little trinket, but one of our companions was, showing us how to make some of these, and I thought of you, and actually I did speak to the Reverend earlier to suggest we maybe do a little Sunday school activity with some of the children, and I don't know, it's just a small little token for you, and you'd be very welcome to join us if you would like something to keep your mind and hands busy on Sunday, and perhaps little activity with children would help lift the spirits a little as well.
Thank you, sister. That's very kind. Yes, that sounds lovely on Sunday. I think that would be yes, I think that would be very, very nice. Thank you. She's sort of holding the thing to her chest over her other crucifix.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Constance has got a couple on her at the moment as well. Yeah, you're very, very welcome. It'd be an absolute pleasure to have you there. And yes, I do think children always bring such comfort.
Yes. Please stay for as long as you like, but don't let me keep you if you need to be on your way.
Yes, unfortunately we've not got too much further other than the investigations, other than obviously as we've already described. It is unfortunately a bit of a mystery, and I do feel that I certainly do hope that we can still find Dan for you. And bring him back. I guess I might just look to Mosling, in case he wants to drop the P word and try that or not. But otherwise, I won't say something directly.
I think like, if she hasn't already expressed something like that, then I don't think we'll get it today. No, I'm good. I'm happy to, like, slap my thighs and stand up and go, well, this has been lovely.
Thank you both. Thank you.
Yeah, I guess we'll make our way out and say goodbyes and yeah, go back out to meet the others, I suppose.
On the way back, I'm going to ask Constance whether she thinks. Do you think we could tempt the pixies out if we got Hux incredibly drunk and pushed him onto the road? Do you think they'd go for him? We could obviously save him afterwards. We just think, they like to go after fools and drunkards and greedy people, and Hux is basically all three of those things.
Given we've not yet been able to rescue Dan, I don't think that an attempt here that relies on us being able to save a member of our group here is the wisest course of action. Although I appreciate the initiative.
Probably right.
Filing that one away mentally. Yeah, I guess head back to the pub and rejoin the others. Is Lady Spence still there as well? She's been along. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, her and Gladys have just stayed in the pub with the others.
Cool. Yeah, I guess we'll go back and explain. Like, it doesn't seem like she's into any of the pagan stuff. Yes, I think we might, as you suggested, Moslem, we might want to sort of prime the word or the suggestion a little. I don't think it's something she'd automatically jump to, but or immediately jump to, but it may not hurt to test the waters. But in any case, I hope we've given her a little comfort for the time being, and yes, another recruit in our pixie defences, if nothing else. Many activities here at the pub?
Nah, it's been quiet. Had some drinks. That middle of the daytime, place is pretty dead.
Hux has been trying to teach Adam how to play dice.
Ah, Trying.
And
That's good.
losing.
Picked it up quick. See?
Just Hux
Told you.
has no jacket to turn inside out anymore.
That's actually adorable. I love the idea that that's genuinely happened. Adam's just wearing this enormous jacket.
He's also been surprisingly aided by Lady Spence sort of whispering things in his ears.
That's perfect. I was like, yeah, sure, we can play for a bit of money if you like. And then at that point, Lady Spence started whispering things in his ears, and I was just like, no.
Wow.
I think B was going to step in and give some sort of education about, gambling and promising what you don't have. And then Adam started winning. And she thought that maybe she should stay quiet and see if Hux learns something instead.
After like 20 minutes of this, I decided I'm going to have to go get another drink.
So you're going to borrow some money back off Adam so you can do that.
It's an exorbitant interest rate.
It's my
When it
excuse
gets the
to-
next round.
Yeah, exactly. It's my excuse to leave and concede without having to admit it.
This is how Hux ends up in Lucy Jenkins's book.
She's just there, eyeing me from the window.
Does anybody want to do anything else before the Historical Society meeting?
I might just suggest that whenever Lucy's next in the pub, if anybody else is here, that we might want to do a similar thing that we did with in terms of dropping the pixie word. She's looking for info on the medallion, and we feel like we know what that actually is. Genuinely, is there any way that she could be receptive to actually hearing that as an idea? But otherwise, I might suggest. Well, okay, actually, yeah. Do we think after the society, are we wanting to try out the moors again this evening, or perhaps better to wait? I'm just
I'd like
conscious
to,
that
unless we
you'd
find
like
something
to.
else.
I'm perhaps inclined to go back to the house and try reading a little more about this Spertus. I'm conscious that's another pressing issue, or at least to see whether we've maybe had word back from London
Yeah, good point.
after your program. So I may head back there. I'm not expect. I don't think I have a whole lot to add with the Historical Society, frankly. But I might head back.
I'm
Marcelin,
getting
you had
go on.
a theory that perhaps the scrap of material could be maybe traded back to them.
I think it's our best shot. Honestly, I think that maybe what we need to do is start confronting these things and see what happens. Play it by ear.
I don't think Dan has a huge amount of. If they've not been caring for him, if they've not been, then yes, Dan might not have much time left. So it might be that we need to make the first approach.
Is this a conversation that's happening after Constance has left, or not?
I don't think so. I
That could genuinely quite affect the course of what happens here.
I think Constance can be part of the conversation.
Yeah, I think this was following on directly from what you just said.
Right.
So
I think in that case, I think we'll be very cautious about getting into arrangements with these awful devil folk.
I mean, these pixies, they're acting like mischievous children. Maybe they need a stern talking to. It's not like Bonneville could laugh, but it's not the worst idea we've got. We have no idea.
No, I'm just abused the.
That is much more sensible than getting into trading arrangements and magical secrets and things with them. And I think, yes, frankly, they need to be told that they need to outright stop this nonsense. But I think that's very different to whatever the Victorian equivalent of negotiating with terrorists is as a phrase.
Honestly, I think that's much more sensible than trying to fight the damn things. They'll just disappear if we try and do that. There's no point.
Have you ever tried to fight a bee? Like
Precisely.
you'd be trying to slap them or shoot them, and they'll be darting. I mean, no,
why would you fight a bee?
Do you have any good tennis? Do you have any good just Mosling's imagining a story where he's imagining a time in the past where he was. Anyway, do you have any good badminton rackets, Lady Spence? Perhaps they could be good for pixie bashing. No? It's just an idea. I think we need to be open to all
I
opportunities.
don't think we need to take that too seriously. I don't think a racket will help very much with these magical creatures somehow.
Well, I mean, we can go equipped with whatever anybody thinks may assist. Mr. Huxley, I'm sure I even have a spare coat for you if it's cold later.
Oh, I'm sure I'll win it back yet.
Well, anyway, I'm sure I have one. Perhaps we genuinely should consider what, if anything, additional we should take with us on another excursion, though.
If it does need to be a trade, can it be anything they're interested in? I know you don't like the idea, Sister Constance, but if it gets us Dan back, better than not having him back at all, right?
Well, I am not so sure about that. You never know quite what it is that you're dealing with these sorts of things, and we might feel like it's a blessing to have Dan back, but actually something worse comes off the back of it. And frankly, dealing with these things, if it puts one's immortal soul at risk, I'm not sure anything is really worth that. But I understand that that's not everybody's position. But on a more practical note, they sort of ran off the last time that they spotted us. I'm not really sure how you're proposing to speak with them, if they're just going to go running off giggling again. And certainly we've armed ourselves with protections that are meant to ward them away. So presumably you have to put yourself at risk in order to approach them again, if that is that's what you're wanting to do.
I agree. I think it sounds like we might need to think of some way of not trapping them as such, but drawing them in, getting them interested, so they don't just run off the second they see us.
Well, I'll take out the bit of fabric that I still had and sort of place
maybe
it on
someone by themselves, or at least that's what they think. That's probably much more attractive for a trick, right?
These pixies also seem to like the absurd. They like whimsy and pranks and mischief. Maybe something ridiculous would be something that they'd be interested in, like a farcical display, a tea party in the mall. Something like that might appeal to their sense of the absurd.
Something they wouldn't expect. It's not a bad idea. We think they could speak, so it implies they could think. They've got thoughts.
I will not make a fool of myself for the entertainment of pixies.
We're just thinking about to trap them.
Well, perhaps the Historical Society might be able to give us some clues if they have any tales of the region. But
I'm still wondering if these bones might help us in any way at all.
So you said the constable was dismissive about this?
Pretty much. He knew of the well. He called it the Witch's Well. And yes, it seems to be common knowledge. I think they intend to.
Why the Witch's Well? Is it the witch? Is it a witch's bones? Is it other bones? Is that a victim of a witch?
Was Constance around when Lady Spence? Oh no, because you were at the mill, weren't you? You were at the mill. Henry will relate the two stories of yes, that Lady Spence covered.
No. Yes, I'm not sure how all sorts of things are connected. Sorry, did we get a carriage into town this time? I think we did.
No, we walked.
No, we didn't.
Too many of you.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Well, I want to stay here with.
I was going to say there's not time for Constance to walk back, look up some, check in on the telegrams, and then be able to rejoin back for like an evening moors visit, or would there maybe be? Yeah. Okay.
I'm assuming you'd probably be going out on the moors after the Historical Society meeting anyway, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I
So-
was thinking, is like whether maybe while that's happening, Constance goes back, checks for telegrams, maybe checks out another book or so from the Spertus, and
Okay.
then meets back on the moors for the pixie shenanigans.
So let's put. So we'll say it's 2:30 now. It's
Okay.
it's about an hour and a half round trip walking. So and the historical society meeting is probably about 5. So you think you could spend an hour back at the house and still get back in time for the meeting, or spend longer and do whatever else.
Yeah, I think Constance is less interested in the historical society at this point and more interested in checking in on the house. So I think I will suggest that I head back and open the door if anybody else wants to join, but that I'll head back and meet back up for the moors stuff later.
Maybe do grab that jacket while you're there. That's all right.
Lady Spence says, Miss Pugh, should we return with Sister Constance? And I'm not sure we have much need to be here for the afternoon.
I would appreciate your help with the books, and if there's anything you can help me with in the library,
Of course.
Lady Spence. And of course, I suppose Miss Pugh, it might be of interest to you as well if there's any news about this other creature.
Yeah, so they head back with you.
Do you want to send Adam back as well, B, before tonight, or maybe head back with him?
I was thinking about that. I don't want him out traipsing around the moors in the middle of the night. Yeah. Lady Spence, would you mind?
Of course. Come on, young man. In his
Constance
giant
is
coat.
I was gonna say.
Take a moment.
going to start showing him like on the walk back once we're out of sight, is absolutely going to start showing him how to make a little wicker crucifix like we did before.
I'm gonna, before he leaves, I'm gonna like button the top bit up and then tie the bottom so that he doesn't trip over it. And like roll his sleeves up and everything.
Yeah.
The moment the three of them are out the door, I just go, I like that jacket.
Shouldn't have bet it then.
It's going to take him a long time to grow into it.
He'll manage it.
Okay,
Just hope he
those of
didn't
you
leave-
still... Sorry, go on, John.
Just hope you didn't leave anything he shouldn't have in the pockets.
Crowbar, revolver. Nah, you're good.
Good.
Does anybody who is staying at the pub want to do anything specific before the Historical Society meeting? Okay. Cool. Inga, what did you want to do back at the house exactly? Check for telegrams.
Check the telegrams and hit the books again, given that we know that the name of the new thing that we're looking for, if there's anything else there. Obviously we jumped to the stuff that Bonneville had kind of come across before, but we weren't specifically looking for anything to do with that last time we were looking at books. So I think it's a bit of a long shot, but just in case. Mostly hoping for a telegram response, but we'll see.
Okay. You wander in and after a couple of minutes, so you head into the living room and Lady Spence grabs a couple more books, and James comes in and says, "Oh, well, it's for Mr. Bonneville, really, but should I pass this to Sister
Is it from the
Constance, Lady
society?
Spence? Is that what this means?" And he points at a little crest thing, which is clearly like the society's thing.
Yes, that's it.
Yes, James, please hand it over. So he passes it over to you. And it is from Sir Rupert. And it says, Henry, it was not us, but we can find more information. Do not take the box from her. Rupert.
Well, it's good to have a response, I suppose. But I think any more research is really on our own efforts now, for at least for today. Yes, perhaps a little more of an unusual one, Lady Spence. But yes, if there is anything in your library that we might look at, I think it might still be a good use of the time.
Yes, of course. Make a learning roll, Inga, please.
Nothing.
Okay. Yeah, you spend some time looking through books, probably until the sun begins to set, but have no luck. But you did have a rather fruitful morning on the books, so
Yeah. And I'm happy for it to all be as part of the same role and to have not found anything, but also would probably be ideally looking for any other info about like general religious rituals and things that address any kind of Vaesen, not just Spurters, almost anything. But yeah, happy not to have found anything. That's fine. But
okay. So the rest of the group, you spot a table begin filling with mostly sort of greying and white-haired men and women. And then they kind of pull another circular table over and make it into one large figure eight. Are you planning on just observing, or are you going to attempt to sort of take part and become part of the table?
Has already probably expressed during the day that he's definitely intending to take part, and was wondering whether anyone else was planning on joining him.
Yeah,
but
go
like,
on.
yeah. I mean, equally, like, we don't have to hide the fact that I know you guys. It could be,
Yeah,
I'm here with these people, but I've come over to join you guys, kind of thing. So we could always go back and forth and ask questions, or if you want to know something.
I'd probably just come join you if it seems like they'd be amenable to it.
This is my friend Hugs. Would you sit with him, or would you leave if he?
Yeah, does it seem like a really
nice.
high class table? If it doesn't, then I'm probably cool. I'm guessing it's just some old retired local folks, so it's probably fine, right, Jonny?
Yeah. You might get a couple of funny looks, but yeah.
Now, Mr. Huxley's interest is in the architectural history. Particularly, he's interested in Gothic structures.
I'm sure I can answer any questions they have with my two total dice to roll in learning.
As Hux is joining in and be as confident she won't be the oddest person sitting at the table, she will also go over and join them.
Okay. As you go over and join them, you realise that Hux may not be the strangest person at this table.
No. Oh dear.
Is Henry joining as well? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
There's a couple of sort of quite eccentric, loud figures around the table. Eventually there's a man, sort of a tall, slim, older man who half stands and says, "Right, shall we?" And then sits again, and everybody kind of quietens down. So right, couple of topics for a potential discussion this evening. So we've got the Old London Road, its prominence and importance to modern Victorian culture. we've got the Bodmin Church and its history, or a fun one, as mentioned by Rebecca over there, and he kind of motions to one of the more eccentric people that are sitting kind of almost out on the edge of the group, the Hurlers. So, everyone for the Old London Road, and 5 of the group put their hands up.
I look directly at Mosley.
Is it 5 or is it 6?
5 of the group put their hands up.
Oh, okay.
How many are in the group? Is it like roughly what proportion of the group is that? Not a majority.
There are 12 people in the group.
Wow. Oh, I could be
So
a mini
it's
celebrity
slightly more
here.
than the third.
Well, no, I'm not going to put my hand up for that.
Okay. And for the church, again, 5 people put their hands up.
Is Sister Constance with us?
And the Hurlers, and the 2 in the eccentric group put their hands up.
Plus 4 makes 6.
But we've no idea what the Hurlers are.
Yeah, I look
despite it
around.
being the title of this.
I look at B and go, "Why are you putting your hands up?"
But you know that the other 2 are irrelevant to you, I suppose.
Well,
Because we're
Does
not
the
asking
word
about
that-
the road and we're not asking about the church.
I was going to say, does the word the Hurlers mean anything to us? Is that a sort of
it's an odd word, and I kick Hux under the table.
Yeah, okay. I'll look around at everyone else putting their hands up and being kicked and go.
Sounds like a group of people or things who may do something.
Or maybe
at
the
it,
people who played the game, maybe. Who knows? The point is...
This historical society gathered today to have a really nice conversation about a road or a church, and these weirdos show up and make them have this strange conversation. Like,
that makes 5 for every topic, so it's Bonneville that gets the Bonneville gets the deciding vote.
Oh God!
And the whole group turns to him.
I mean, the Hurlers sounds interesting. I can't separate that from...
Right. Well, seems that Rebecca has won the vote. It's the first time for everything. Well,
actually, at this point, would it be good to introduce ourselves as the new people and say that we're really interested in folklore history?
yes. Well, perhaps you've makes sense. Right. Rebecca, would you like to introduce it, as it was your suggestion? Yes, well, as you're all aware, the town of Bodmin has a moor upon which there are some stone circles, which are believed by many to be men who were turned to stone for playing the ancient game of hurling on a Sunday, and in 3 groups, presumably, and also 2 men who were playing music while the hurling was taking place on a Sunday, and they are known as the Pipers. Yes, you'll have all seen these, no doubt, while you're out on your wanders. So I'd like to open up the table to anybody who has any more interesting information about the Hurlers. And of course, if we're short on information for the time, then we can move on to one of the other topics. Yes, she's beaming and sits down. And you notice that she does have a crucifix, but she also has a kind of like a almost like crystally beaded necklace. Yeah, bit of a Victorian days hippie, whatever that would be. You think?
Can I make a learning roll to see if I've got any knowledge about hurling?
Sure.
Like book knowledge, obviously. I
Yeah.
don't pretend that Muslim have any actual useful knowledge for anything ever. I do get 1 success.
Okay. Yeah. It's essentially there is like a wooden stick which is used to basically hit a small ball between goalposts or over the crossbar. So sort of a cross between, I suppose, rugby in terms of the way that it's scored and football and lacrosse and tennis, like some amalgamation of all those kinds of things if you were to not have any idea what hurling is.
Then I will attempt to continue the conversation by repeating the small amount of knowledge I know about hurling and asking if that's broadly correct.
Yes, Mr.
Mosling Forsmark.
Oh,
you may know of me from my book on roads, The Lesser-Known Paths of South Cheshire, which did sell a few copies.
I'm afraid that I haven't read that, but only because it's not my my locality. If you were to write one about this area, Mr. Mosling Forsmark, I'm sure I would pick up a copy. Right. Well, yes. Yeah. You're quite right there with your understanding. But of course, it was forbidden for organized sport to be played on the Lord's Day, which is the belief as to why these people were turned to stone. Although I myself believe that they are probably placed there as some kind of ritual site for pagans from many years ago. I wouldn't like to say when, maybe the Bronze Age.
Maybe.
They're certainly not unpleasant to look upon when you if you go for a wander out in the moor. If you and your friends haven't been out there yet, I can recommend it as a nice. Just watch out for the boggy areas, but if you're out there in the daylight, you can spot them fine.
Oh no, we've been out there. That was it was first on our list of things to do when we visited.
Oh, very good. Well, I highly recommend the Old London Road and also the church in the town for 2 additional points of interest. Yes, and of course, not too far away from the Hurlers is the Witch's Well, where it's believed that a witch was tried and well, apparently not a witch because she didn't float.
Mistakes are made.
Is that who the bones are at the bottom of it then, or who it's thought to be?
That is the belief. Yes. Yes. There is believed to have been a woman by the name of Alison, who was, well, she was seen out dancing near the Hurlers at night, And it was also believed that there were she had a husband, you see, and he was very unwell. And not long after she was seen out dancing on the moors, her husband, miraculously or otherwise, became better. And I'm not sure anybody would think this way now, but 100, 200 years ago, the dates are not perfectly known, but people believe that she may have been a witch out there making a pact with the devil. So there you are. Does anybody else have any interesting information about the Hurlers? Especially, it would be nice if we had some for our guests here.
I got a quick question about that well to follow up, if anyone knows. Do you know why it was built there? It's a bit of an odd place for it, isn't it? No other structures or anything up on the moor. Seems to be not ancient or anything. I don't
know. I believe that there used to be a secondary path, not the main road, which you'll have most likely come into town on, which was used by unreputable folks moving things between towns. There is some small infrastructure set up around that, I believe, to allow these people to pass unnoticed. And as you may have seen, it is tucked away behind a rocky outcropping, so it avoids the eyes from the road. Perhaps they decided to try Alison there to attempt to kill two birds with one stone. If she did drown there, then the water would be bad. Perhaps that would no longer be used by people moving things illegally, smuggling or...
Suppose you don't want to use your good well, do you?
No, quite. Yes.
Can you think of why anyone would want to camp out there these days?
Nice views in the daytime, I suppose.
But it's not...
People traveling and not want to be right on the road. There has been a couple of strange things with wagons that I've heard of in the last sort of couple of years on the road. Maybe people have heard stories, worried that bad things would happen. And
oh, we heard about one of them.
Yeah. Could just be that.
Yeah, fair enough.
There's nothing else sort of, nearby, I don't think, up there.
Has anyone ever seen any pixies on the moor or lights? Anything like, we were out there the other night, and I'm not sure if it was, I know not everyone's, into flights of fancy, but we saw some lights on the moor. Anyone, any takers on pixies?
I look at Rebecca to see if she has reacted in any way.
She looks interested, but not like she has, not like she thinks there are pixies there. More sort of like, where is this conversation going? But less flabbergasted than the rest of the group. She's sort of like, oh, okay, yeah, this is
I'm interested in incorporating some stories about local folklore. These Hurlers, they're going to be they're really something. This witch as well, great. Anything else? Anything of that ilk that could be weaved into a narrative?
I'll be pulling the drink away from in front of Gale.
As far as I'm aware, there's no historical proof for pixies, Mr. Mosling.
Oh no, there wouldn't be, of course. How could there? How could there be? But just a little bit of local charm.
No, in fact, the discussion around the Hurlers is honestly more fantastical than we usually get at these meetings.
I'll pull up my notepad and go, that will have to do then. Start making some notes.
No pixies.
No pixies.
Pixies are banned from Bodmin.
Rebecca says, but I suppose if they were going to be anywhere, we'd probably be there. They're not, of course, but if they were... I'm sure that's what Mr. Mosling Forsmark was saying, isn't it? Right,
certainly.
Yes. Well, can we agree now that next time we'll discuss the road? And sort of 11 hands go up. Good. Same time next week. You would, of course, be welcome to join us again.
I think we might have other business by next week. Shame.
Oh, I could clear some space.
I'll be like picking Gale up actively to move out the chair.
No, I'm going to be batting off Huck because I'm going to be the last one to leave, or more accurately, I'm going to be leaving when this Rebecca is leaving and seeing if they have anything else they'd like to talk about.
The group just kind of get up and leave, and Rebecca sort of gives you a smile and a nod as she's on her way out, and kind of leans in as she's passing, probably sort of slightly inappropriately close.
Nice.
And says, "Thank you for making what's usually an incredibly dull evening a little bit more interesting, Mr. Mosling Forsmark."
People do say I do that. This Hurlers, would you not stay for one more drink? I feel like the evening ended too soon. Me and my friends, we're here for some time. We even have a nun joining us later, perhaps. Would you not stay for one more? I'm really interested to know why you wanted to talk about the Hurlers.
I mean, I could stay for a drink, but really, it's just because the rest of it's so drab.
Mm-hmm.
I used to come here with my late husband, you see, and he used to be sort of the chairperson, I suppose, of the society, and would fill things with a little bit more flavor and pizzazz. And now, as you can see,
what kind of things was he interested in then?
Well,
stories of battles and fun and adventures, and
yes, and even if we were to discuss the old London Road, it would be, about the time that Dick Turpin was sighted around here, and mixed in with, of course, other things about the dates that it was, but just something to make it,
bring it alive.
something to make it interesting to somebody who was born after the old London Road was built, is what I'm saying, Mr. Mosling Forsmark.
Did you ever meet? We're here. We're here actually on a sad event, to be honest. We're in town investigating what happened to what I believe is maybe one of your old friends, Dan.
Oh, yes.
A
Yes,
sad story about Dan.
I am concerned for his well-being.
Especially being gone this long. What kinds of things was he interested in when he was still attending the society?
Well, when he was attending, it was actually while my husband was still around. So the numbers have dwindled since he passed.
Well, obviously, if you've lost the main attraction, the person bringing history alive, the numbers are going to dwindle.
She smiles. Yes, absolutely. But yes, Dan was he was a nice lad. Sat there quiet mostly, sipping his drink, but did seem to be interested.
I know it's a very personal question, but do you know what it was that caused a change in Dan that started this slow descent downhill?
I think these things can happen with alcohol, can't they? I don't know if there was any particular event. I think he may have. Did he have some issues with work? Maybe we weren't
Perhaps.
Close. I
shouldn't have asked.
But yes, no, not at all. Anyway, I shouldn't stay for the drink. I should go and make myself some dinner. But a pleasure. And if you ever are back this way on a Thursday, please come along and ask us about pixies again.
Will do. Thank you. She was nice. She was nice, wasn't she?
B was actually quite impressed by Mosling's willingness to make himself look like a fool. So after the meeting, I actually went and tracked down the chairman and tried to have a bit of a quiet. We're very sorry about this. He's not usually like this. Normally, his academic writings are full of very carefully researched and accurate information about the historical something about roads and local landmarks. Really, it's our friend Hux's fault. He's been encouraging him to drink all afternoon, and please don't hold this against him. He would very much like to hear about Old London Road.
Right.
If you would have him back.
Yes, I suppose everybody falls foul of these things sometime. I won't hold it against him.
Thank you.
We have been drinking for like 6 or 7 hours straight.
This is true.
I'm sure
arrived like
there
at
are
11
alcoholic options available.
Anyway.
Okay, so have you planned to meet towards the moor, or is Constance coming back to the pub, do you think?
I think back to the pub makes more sense. Just like otherwise, well, I mean, I guess it's like a single road, but I don't much fancy wandering back on my own and just hanging about a road.
Yeah. Just cutting to Constance on the side of the road. It's like they'd be here. They said they'd be here 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, and I will get a carriage if it's available to head back to the pub.
Cool. So Constance, Lady Spence, and Gladys wander through the door together. Lady Spence has a coat over her arm, which she hands to Hux. A very nice coat.
I mumble a thank you.
You think it'll probably be warmer than the one that you've been wearing, even.
I put it on inside out, without even caring.
And she says, "Right. Suppose we better go see about these bloody pixies then."
Yeah, I suppose we had. Come on then, let's take a walk. We can make a plan on the way, I suppose.
And you head out into the darkening evening, and that's where we'll leave it for this week.
Oh, the big confrontation.
XP. I'm going to get good at this at some point. Maybe right now. Maybe this is the change.
No.
Okay.
I believe in you, Jonny.
Thank you. Okay. Did you participate in the session? Yes. So that's 1 XP. Did you confront any Vaesen? No. You also didn't identify a previously unknown one. Don't think anybody was affected by their dark secret. Did you take risks to protect other people? I don't think so. Have you learned anything? Yeah, you learned some stuff about the Hurlers and stuff. That's fine.
We know why this season is called the Hurlers now, so that's, you know.
Yes.
Yes, I
did
do
you
feel like as players, we probably learned more than our characters did, but still.
You didn't develop anything in the headquarters, and you didn't perform an extraordinary action, so 2 XP.
Mhm.
But that may have pushed, if some people were on 4 from the 4 previously, that may have knocked you over the threshold to get more stuff.
Yes, I should say, last time I had 5, I spent it on 9 lives, I believe, is the talent, which kind of ties into Henry's background potentially.
What's it do?
It allows you to swap the dice for critical injuries rolls to be more beneficial.
Oh, that's cool. I got the suspicious talent at the beginning of the session, which allows me to ignore mental conditions for vigilance checks, which is quite cool. So I'm kind of just apparently building Hux to be able to ignore conditions for all sorts of reasons.
Sounds good.
Cool. Promo stuff. Wednesday, Simba Room. This coming Sunday, 3 p.m. GMT. Sam is going to be running Call of Cthulhu for us, and I am playing, and so is Justin and John.
Like,
no, wait, John. No, it's really confusing. John. Steve,
this
you
is kind
playing?
of our group.
I am playing.
Yeah, this is kind of our group.
Steve.
Are you going to be there?
It's going to be fun. I'm really looking forward to it.
It's got a title as well.
Yeah, Waking Dreams is the title.
We're all going to be in a submarine.
It's not.
Yes.
That's how the song goes, right?
It won't be fun.
That's how the YouTube allowed version of the song goes.
We'll all be in an eldritch submarine.
Perfect.
That's far too close, Jonny.
Yeah, sorry. It's going to be loads of fun. So, Wednesday, Simba Room. This Sunday, 3 p.m. GMT, the Call of Cthulhu. Links to all of our stuff, including our Discord, which you should join and come and chat to us, are below the video. And we should be back next Monday, as far as I'm aware, for what is probably going to be the last episode of this investigation. Probably. But, unless we
disappear, and then it might be that that's it.
The end of the whole thing, yeah. You all have people who care about you that would come looking for your bodies, right?
I think Adam might
I'm
take
really
a few
upset that we're
years
not going to be
first,
here
but-
next week because I want to know about this Great North Road.
Gail
What are you doing to me, Jonny?
can stay.
I was going to stay.
But
You
like,
genuinely stay.
if you finish here, Thursday night, Friday morning.
All I'm asking, Jonny, is what would you have done if I had voted for the road?
I'm really curious about that too. Like, if you hadn't been participated, is there a fair spiel for the others?
Would you have talked about a road for?
You don't need the information on the Hurlers, probably.
But we did need the information on the road. What are you telling me here, Jonny?
The clue is actually the church, completely
We
unrelated.
chose poorly.
Poorly, yeah. Cool. I forgot to say, if you have any questions or comments, put them in the chat. Might be too late for that now, unless you can type really quickly. But John, was there anything during the stream? And have there been any follows or subs or anything that we need to discuss for the last few
There have been
days?
a follow early in the week from Odyssey TV, and a follow during the stream from Talos Wind.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. I did see a couple. I like this one from Talos Wind. The garden shufflers are a real problem. Been moving property lines all over the city for years.
This was very real small town drama and like crime. Like, yeah, it was great, Jonny.
Oh, I love the policeman again. Oh, it was that moment when he was like, "Oh wait, no, they're there," about the pub. That so good.
Oh dear. I like the modelling with the has tried to shoot a bee. It's now canon.
Yeah.
That's
With
You know, when there's a bee and you try and fight it or shoot it or whatever, and you
everyone
can't.
knows this situation. It's a very common, relatable situation.
Of course, the one time Mosling's fired again in anger is that a bee?
I'd also like this follow up from Steve. The next base improvement is going to be a better shooting range with bee-sized targets.
To be fair, if you can shoot a moving bee, like that's pretty great marksmanship. That's pretty excellent.
It's true. I also liked this one from Steve. This well-based justice system definitely has scaling problems. With a follow-up from 4242, it does make the well-digging business more profitable.
Yep.
God.
Conspiracy theories abound.
But yeah, I think that's everything from chat.
What was
Cool.
the one in our chat that just made me laugh? Oh, it's when Justin, when we're chatting to the policeman, he was like about this guy Dan going missing, and you were just like, "It's just I don't care."
He's like,
That really
he said,
killed me.
it's not that I don't care. It's just I don't care.
I don't care.
Oh,
I don't because I don't want to
so
seem like I don't care. It's just, and then you kind of left it, and I don't care.
Yeah, it's like
Oh, dear.
pretty sure there's no foul play. A man's gone missing. We won't bother looking for it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
I think it's the
Simple
kind of thing that
times.
Mosling would say. Mosling would say, "I don't want to appear callous. I just don't care." Like, it's just...
What is the most efficient way of not appearing callous?
Oh dear.
Yeah, that's good.
Cool. All right. Thanks, everybody. Remember, Wednesday, Simba Room. Sunday, 3 p.m. GMT, Call of Cthulhu that Sam is running. I remembered to point the wrong way to point the right way. That's going to be loads of fun. And we should hopefully be back next Monday. So see you on one of those times. Thanks for watching. See you soon.